on your Twitter. Tell me the story of how Donald Trump butt dialed you.
Okay, so I was working on a story, and the story was about his golf courses his golf courses were in his filings for president. You have to disclose all of your holdings. And he said that they were worth, all of them were worth $50 million or whatever he said. And in all of those local jurisdictions, or in many of them, he was fighting the valuations with town and county assessors saying, these golf properties are worth nothing. You should be taxing me at a lower rate. And so I wanted to know, Donald, how do you square these things? You say on your filings they're worth all this money, and then when it comes to local government, you're saying they're worth nothing. Explain to me the deal. And so I called a contact, one of his handlers is the wrong word, but she's like one of his managers. And she said, okay, well, he'll call you maybe next week. It was right during the New Hampshire primaries in 2020. 2016. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think anything of it. I go back. I've been living in New York City. My apartment happened to be like 2 blocks from my office. So I walk back to my apartment for lunch. I'm eating my lunch. I'm mid-bite of my sandwich. And I get a blocked number call. And I pick up, and it's the Donald.
Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh.
And he wants to talk, because he wants to talk golf courses. He wants to talk golf. The guy just loves golf. And so we do the interview, and I have to say I was expecting a lot of like bluster and I was expecting the character, and I didn't really get it, and so it caught me off guard a little bit, and so I wasn't as dogged as I should have been in the interview. It was not my best interview because I think he did it on purpose, knowing that like I was not expecting his call, so he catches me off guard, and I didn't handle it well, I have to say. I luckily ended up getting a second interview with him, and I was able to handle that one, I think, much better. I was able to be a little bit more pointed in some of my questions because he gave me what I thought were some reasonable answers to some of the questions that I had, but I didn't follow up on them in the way that I should have. Anyway, the point is, the first call ends. Okay? I'm like, holy crap, that was wild. And then I get a call right away from the block number again. I pick it up, and I hear Trump say, how was that? And fine for me if it was okay for you. Like, that was what I said. And then I hear rustling and the call. And that's when I realized.
Oh, Don.
He puts the phone in his pocket, asks his PR person, how did that go? And he's calling me in his pocket. And I'm sure they heard me because they're probably like in a conference room or in a car. And for whatever reason, I picture him in a car, like in a limo.
An executive.
And
limo.
Yeah. And so then I heard him, the shuffling, and then that means he's turning the phone off. So I don't know for sure that's what happened, but that's what I assume happened.
What an amazing story. Oh
I absolutely love it.
And then, 5 months later, he's elected president. I'd never, in that moment, I never expected that to happen either. So it became like, a much bigger deal then than it would have just been. Like, it would have just been a sort of curio story that I get to tell in New York City, where the only people who care are there. And now it's a much different thing, obviously.
You should have called him back and told him he was fired. Now that would have been great. Hey, you butt out me, you're fired. But anyway,
well, you can't call back blocked numbers, so I couldn't have called him back, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. I love it, Peter. Cool. So we won't take up any more of your time, but we really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Make sure you follow Locked On Packers and The Leap. Peter, thank you for your time, and remember, don't forget to subscribe to The Intellectual Idiots on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we are out. Have a great day, guys.
Very much. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Of course, guys.